Simp, the lowest tier on the human evolutionary spectrum. But can you beat Skyrim as this absolute degenerate? I'm here to answer that question. With me is my test subject, Eugene. I don't know, I couldn't come up with a more simp name than that. If there's anybody named Eugene watching this, I'm sorry for doing you dirty like that. Anyways, Eugene is the largest simp in Skyrim. Yes, even larger than Aaron. So the premise of this challenge is that I can only play the supporting role to Lydia as she fights to save Skyrim from the dragon crisis. I can't do damage to enemies if Lydia is present. I can only heal and shield her and hope she's strong enough to deal with any enemy that is standing in our way. With that, let's get into the video. We start our journey by getting sent off to the chopping block for being a vermin to society. And rightfully so. I would execute this motherfucker too if I saw him out in public. But the Lord of Chuds, Alduin, swoops in to save us. So we run for our hideous lives, and since we can't fight, we cower behind Raylof's back as he deals with all the enemies. I picked the Mage's Stone, since the only abilities I will be allowed to use are restoration spells on Lydia. I jumpscare a random woman, and she shortly after goes to file a restraining order. We make our way to Whiterun to bother the Jarl, and continue being a burden to society. He figures the best way to deal with us is to send us on a suicide mission to a crypt haunted by Draugr. Yup, I'm talking about Bleak Falls Barrow. Since I can't deal damage to enemies, I have to bait them all into traps. But after a long time, I finally make it to the claw room. The only problem is, I forgot the fucking claw. So I head back and desecrate Arvold's corpse, and finally get my filthy hands on the claw, bait the Overlord into traps, and make my way back to the Jarl. He shits himself after seeing this absolute mutant return from the indirect execution he sent me on. But nonetheless, the Jarl is a smart man. He has a backup plan. Said backup plan is making me a dragon snack. But little does he know, I am the one who bites. And finally, with all the hardships we have gone through, we finally come face to face with our Discord kitten. We can now finally use her as a human shield while we farm restoration experience. So, my love and I make our way to Ivarstead and begin to climb the 7,000 steps. Of course, as any good, loving, adoring simp, I use Lydia as troll bait while I continue on to the Greybeards. They give us their boring spiel about destiny and with great power comes great responsibility or whatever, and send us off to find our ancient fleshlight or something. The enemies at Ustengrav don't present much of a threat. Lydia is an absolute tank when being healed 24/7. She tears through the necromancers and Draugr as if she's mowing a lawn. The only real issue was using her brain. Lydia, please. Please, just... For fuck's sake.
What's the hurry?
Yes! Finally! Alright, gate 2 passed. Time for the final one. Oh, and she's levitating.
Ready to get
Okay, that fixed it.
What is it?
We finally get through the puzzle, and she decides to do an Anakin Skywalker cosplay.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片。
Getting to the final room, but when you know it, the fleshlight is gone. Who would have guessed? Back to Riverwood, where we get bored by Delphine and pressured into killing another dragon. So, we go to Cosgrove, and just like any true king of the jungle, we let the woman do all the heavy lifting and claim the prize at the end. Our next task is to become James Bond and spy on political figures, but unlike 007, I am not a badass spy. I am a troglodyte with a big metal stick, hoping to do some damage considering I have zero fighting experience. I get the info and report back to Delphine, who sends me to Riften in hopes of finding her senile grandfather after he ran away from the retirement home and decided to hide in the sewers. We kill all the poor homeless people down there in cold blood. But there are no authorities down here, so it doesn't matter. We retrieved the geezer, and now it's time to get through the elves. As expected, they pose no threat with infinite health Lydia on my side. The old man wants us to take him to an art museum in the mountains to check out some graffiti on a wall. So, that's our next objective. We kill all the museum staff after refusing to pay for our tickets and swiftly get past their security system. Esbern has what I can only describe as a panic attack mixed with a seizure as he runs in place for about 15 minutes. Anyways, after opening the door to the main exhibit, we finally reach the art piece that has been making Esbern cream his pants this entire journey. Back to the Greybeards to finally join their frat house and meet their leader. The initiation ceremony is a bit weird. A lot of bursted eardrums, but in the end, we are accepted and finally get to come face to face with Parthenax. Yes, he is a dragon, but he's one of the good ones. The friendly lizard sends us to find an Elder Scroll, which is going to allow us to see the past and see how the ancient Nords defeated Alduin. So, it's off to the Mages College to see what the nerds of Skyrim know. Basically nothing. So they send us over to the local crack junkie in the middle of nowhere, hoping we die on the way so they don't have to deal with our nosy bullshit anymore. Unfortunately for them, cockroaches are very hard to kill. The crack fiend is alive, and as bonkers as you would expect him to be. The maniac sends us into a sex dungeon made by the now extinct elf dwarves. Dwemer. Dwarves, but not short. Dwarves, but they look kinda Jewish. Anyway, Lydia does a decent enough job of being a human shield, fighting off the hordes of robotic spiders and rollerbladers, while I go to the objective. We run past the Falmer, and as a true gentleman, I throw Lydia into the jaws of the underground rat elves as I run for my life with my pants filled with about 7 kilos of shit. I get my Cheeto-stained fingers on the Elder Scroll and bring it back to Parthenax, so that I can make him and Lydia fight Alduin while I cower behind the biggest rock I can find. After that, it's time to be a burden to Jarl Balgruuf again, as we ask him to help us capture a dragon in his backyard. But he's too scared while the Empire and Stormcloaks are fighting, so he wants them to call halftime while we deal with the dragon situation. So, we talk to the respective leaders of each faction and get the peace council going. I love how the Greybeards are looking at Lydia while talking. They know she's the main character, and I'm just a pest that keeps following her around. Time to capture a dragon in a city that has the combined guard population of 7 people.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Again, we allow the 3 musketeers of Lydia, Balgruuf, and Irilith to deal with Odahviing, while I occasionally heal them. With our combined efforts, mostly thanks to me of course, we capture Odahviing, and he takes me to Skuldafn. Notice how I said he takes me to Skuldafn, not us. Yeah, Lydia isn't here, so that means I have to run for my life amongst several dragons and Draugr to get to the portal to Sovngarde and finish this whole shit show, and that's exactly what I do. Now, facing Sun by myself wasn't possible. No matter how much I tried to cheese it by giving myself ebony gear or whatever, so I decided to use my Simp Discord powers to transfer Lydia from the Whiterun voice chat to the Sovngarde voice chat, and once again let her fight my battles for me. Now it's time to deal with Alduin. With the combined powers of the 3 ancient Nord heroes, and around 11 Lydias, the overgrown lizard stood no chance. And there we go, Alduin is dead. The second biggest menace of Skyrim has been put down. Now, the only thing left to do is remove the first biggest menace of this land. You thought I was talking about Parthenax, didn't you? You sick, twisted bastard, how could you? I'm talking about this absolute abomination. This creature needs to be put down ASAP. The only reason we fought against Alduin was because he almost destroyed the world by preventing our execution at the beginning of the video. Well, that's it. I hope y'all liked it. I also hope I'm not talking to nobody and that there's actually at least one person that stuck around for the outro. Thanks for watching. If you're feeling a bit generous today, maybe hit the like or subscribe button. It really helps me out and means a lot. With that said, I will see you in the next video. Bye.